hello. Welcome to my channel. Let me make sure I can hear myself. And then we will officially be getting this special request from my main man, Chooser. Dropping that hot request. Yeah, I can hear myself. All right, very good. Let me bring up our flight plan in Navigraph. So, yeah, Chooser sent me a message last night on video asking me to do the Germanwings 9525 flight. That's what we're going to do tonight. Sadly, the flight in real life crashed. And, a lot of people are saying that the co-pilot crashed on purpose. I mean, that's kind of what it looks like, to be honest. I mean, for some reason, the pilot left. So this plane was leaving from Barcelona, and the co-pilot supposedly has been telling his therapist and other medical professionals that he's been suicidal. But however, he kept that bit of information from his employer. So they got onto this flight. Now, this was an Airbus A320. I'm not flying the A320 tonight. I don't want to. I find that plane to be highly boring. Plus, after what happened this morning, well, it's not. Let me start. The A320 is not boring. The version in Microsoft Simulator, to me, is boring. In Aerofly, it's not boring. Here, it's boring. Anyways, so we're going to use the A320. However, so this pilot, they leave from Barcelona, and I believe they crashed into the Alps, from what it looked like. I don't know if it was in France or Italy or Austria, but it was, somewhere in the Alps. It looks like they crashed. Well, the pilot left the cockpit at some point during the flight, and supposedly the co-pilot locked the cabin behind the pilot. The pilot at that point could not get back into the cockpit, and the co-pilot at that point just nosed straight down, like into the mountain. And I'm pretty sure everybody died. I mean, that would at least be an educated guess, being that they were at cruising altitude and they flew straight into a mountain. So I'm pretty sure, sadly, everybody died. So that's kind of what happened. We're going to recreate this tonight. It's actually a pretty interesting landing. We're going to wind up doing a procedure turn for this landing. I'm pretty stoked about it. Actually, let me see here, because it doesn't look like we can use that runway for landing. Let me see what arrival. We may be changing something in SimBrief. Let's see here. Empty. Oh, that's interesting. All right, let me see here. We might be changing something real quick, because I noticed this before. Yeah, let me go into SimBrief real quick and change something. We can change it together. So that's what we're going to be doing tonight. Now, this flight is it's kind of a bit much to type in, so we're going to try to bring the flight plan into the FMC for the A310 tonight. SimBrief work its magic here. Come on, buddy. Let's go, bitch. Come on. I should start a GoFundMe for a new laptop. This thing is... You're killing me, Smalls. So before anybody says something, yes, I see that it's outdated. I'm doing that on purpose, because the A310 in Microsoft Simulator is using an outdated AirAct cycle. They're not running the most current one, so I'm using the one that they're still using. That way, the waypoints and all that'll be fine. Oh, I don't need to edit. I just need to edit the flight. Let me edit a flight. Yeah, let's edit this flight here and put it in 5 right for the runway. Keep the pass time. Put it in 5 right. Choose new stars and SIDS. All right, let's run with that. Let's click generate flight, then we'll finish it off real quick in Navigraph. Make sure Twitch is not being a bitch. Let me make sure that they're still working. Okay, they're still working. Twitch lately has liked playing jokes on me, trying to disconnect while I'm streaming. For a while, I wasn't paying attention to it. I've now caught on to your tricks there, Twitch. Stop me and my audience from having fun. Me and my friends from having fun on Saturday night. All right, let's import this flight. And let's look at the available approaches. One thing I like about Navigraph a lot is it tells you like the active runways. Now we probably would be okay with using the original runway that I had in there, but I just want to see what this would look like as well. Okay, so we got that, and very busy map right there. Let's put on VFR map. That's a little less busy. Actually, switch it to daytime, and let's put on the world map. That's a little better. All right. Available approaches. Jesus. All right, this one's probably still going to have a procedure turn, which is fine with me. Big move. No, we can do this one here. All right, let's try this one. See if it's available, because I don't think the other ones are going to work. Yeah, let's do this one here. Yeah, that works. All right, very good. So let's unload this. Let's get into our plane. I think I have to choose the plane actually. And let me save. So I have the old flight plan here. 25, 23, right? Which is ILS from bot is what we used. And we used the BICMU transition. I just want to save the original flight that I had real quick, just in case we go that route. All right, now let me import the flight into here. There we go. All right, so let's go ahead and change the aircraft. We're going to do the A310. I also don't have a Germanwings livery for the A300. I'm sorry, for the I didn't really, to be honest, I didn't really feel like buying another livery pack. I've done that a few times now for flights, but that was only when I didn't have a plane with that livery. This one I do have. And I did look up Germanwings liveries, and this is not their traditional livery. However, there are pictures of this livery in real life on real airplanes. So I know they usually have gray on the bottom, and I know that, usually Germanwings on the fuselage is a bit smaller, but this livery did exist. I don't know exactly what planes they were on, but it did exist. So, all right, let's go ahead and set up our flight here. Let's go to here and do, for some reason it was GWI was the like the beginning of the flight number. So GWI, that was their call sign. And the flight number, according to what I saw on mine, was 18G. So let's see if we can plug in 18G. Turn off heavy. And that is good. And let's put in Barcelona. I hope this works because I did download I downloaded a few bush trips and a few things that went with it. So I'm hoping that that doesn't mess anything up. If it does, I'll erase what I downloaded today. It'll only take a few seconds, but all right, let's zoom in to La Barcelona. And we're taking off from 6 right. That's probably this one here. All right. Yeah, when I was making the thumbnail and I was looking at from the picture, this thing looked just like an airplane. Isn't that cool looking? I mean, it looks like it looks like a few different things. It looks like a fork. Like here's where you would hold the fork. It looks like a spatula. It looks like the Blackbird. The SR-72. It looks like the ship that the ship from Star Wars 1, 2, and 3 that Padme, like her royal ship. It looks like that one, the one where Anakin's like, oh, this is like pod racing. So, anyways, all right, let's do 155. I guess that's a good gate, right? As good as any, right? Or do you guys want to play with the tip? You guys want to play with the tip tonight? Okay, we'll play with... No, I'm just kidding. 157, 52... I guess it doesn't really matter. 158, 57... Yeah, we'll park here in the middle. We'll do 155. All right, let's choose our flight conditions. So again, I need to put this on sometime last month, so I'm just going to stick with my dad's birthday. And I put in here 9:01 UTC time, which would be 10:01 in the morning. So let's go back a little bit before 10 o'clock. So it takes a little bit of time to set up this airplane. All right, very good. So we are all set. Let's go ahead and begin our flight. And hopefully we will not run into any issues like we did this morning. That was crazy. If you guys missed it this morning, you should watch it. I had to take care of something in the middle of the flight, so I put the flight on pause. And I came back, and I had to reconnect the controller. I was gone, I guess, for more than 10 minutes. And anyways, I get back into the game, and instead of the game just picking up where I paused it, we were now like 3,000 feet higher. We were like almost nose straight up in the air. The cabin pressure light is going crazy. So I try to take control of the airplane, and I thought I had it under control, and then all of a sudden, black screen comes up, and it says we had too much stress on the aircraft. And that was it for that flight. So we wound up just finishing a bush trip. Well, not finishing, but we did 2 legs of a bush trip. All right, here we are in beautiful Barcelona. Let's go ahead and get the jetway connected. I'm actually excited for this flight. Okay, chocks and jetway. And let's open up that door. And in the meantime, let's get some power going so we can contact who we need to contact in the ATC. Let's turn on those battery switches, and let's turn on the external power. Let's also turn on our nav light. Very good. And contact the ATC. Let's go. Let's have some baggage carts brought to us. Let's see here. Let's get baggage and catering. Very good. And let's go ahead and close this out. Let's come down to our wonderful flight management control. Let's push the int button. And I am going to type in the 2 airports right now. I'm not going to hit enter though. LEBL/EDDL. Now let's go up top here. Let's move this here to heading STS. Let's move this to nav. That's for nav 1. Let's do nav 2. And let's do nav 3. That's going to start lining the IRSs, but we now need to come down here. We need to push the clear button, which is on the bottom right. Now, since we have that typed in, let's push the button on the top right and hit return. And now that puts that in there. All right, so we got bags going. Catering truck going. Oh, we missed the bags. Damn it. City of Athens. That's weird. Oop, wrong button. Yeah, let's watch them put some bags in. Get the fuel truck out here too. I never watched this kind of stuff. I never watched this kind of stuff. Let's sit out here for a second and watch the and we'll bags are done. Oh man. If you want more turkey bacon, you can heat it up, okay? Give you your medicine. You doing okay? There you go. Just don't take, don't take the one right now. Sounded like you were spanking some people pretty good with your new controller. Sounded like you were spanking some people pretty good with your new controller.
What?
Sounded like you were spanking some people pretty good with your new controller.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. Okay. All right, I don't know where the fuel truck is, but let's go back in and finish everything up. I don't see him around anywhere. Where's the fuel truck at? Oh well, who cares? Let's go back inside and finish setting up the airplane. Okay. Alright, so our flight ID is GWI 18G and we have a few different altitudes tonight. We have 30,000 feet, we have 38,000 feet, we have 32 and 31,000 feet. It's very odd. Let's see how long we're at 38,000 feet for. We're at 38,000 feet for quite a while. All right, let's put in flight level 380. Our cost index tonight is 83. Oh, that's a lie in the IRS, by the way. I'm going to mute myself for 1 second. Oh, we're going to make Dr. Pepper brownies. I'm going to make them tomorrow. They look pretty good. So, but I have other treats for tonight if you want a treat later. All right, so our cruise wind is 260 by 34. Very good. And our alternate airport tonight is Frankfurt. So let's put in EDDF. EDF. I wonder how much longer we have until this finishes lining up. Let's see here. About 1 minute. All right, let's come over here and plug in some information then over here. So let's come down to the scales and let's plug in our passengers. According to SimBrief, we had 155. So let's plug that in. 55 confirm. Our cargo was 3.9 kilograms. And our fuel for today is 12.8. So let's plug that in. 12.8. Let's confirm that. And they have our takeoff weight at 115 and we're at 109. However, our zero fuel weight is 8,000 less here than it is on SimBrief, so we're okay. So 12.8, let's click apply. All right, that's been applied to the aircraft. Let's see if we're lined up yet. Not yet. Weird. Screen just popped up all of a sudden. All right, now we're lined up. from here, I'm going to try to bring our flight plan in. All right, very good. Let's go to menu. Let's go to ACARS. I got to plug in. Let's see if I have to plug my username in. What is it? Doodoo5220, I think. Doodoo 5220. All right, very good. Let's click clear. Let's go to flight plan. All right, now let's click on the button on the top left next to Barcelona. And let's plug in, let's click on SID for standard instrument departure. We are doing 6 right, so let's click the button next to that. And we are doing Dolly 4R. Let's click insert. Very good. Now we need to go down to Dusseldorf. Do need to do a few things with the cruising altitude, so we're going to do that before we take off. You can change this information on the right here. If you click on the button to the right of it, you can put in what speed you want to be at or what altitudes and things like that. So we have to do a couple of things to fix that. All right, let's click on this button next to EDDL. Let's choose the button next to star. And we're doing the, I didn't put our approach back in, shit. It is the ILS for, no, that's not the one we were doing. We were doing the Big 5. Yep, Big 5. Okay, so ILS for 5 right. And we are doing this BIK05. And our arrival is this one right here, BIC M1X. Let's insert that. All right, before we do anything, let's make sure we have no discontinuities. Then we're going to look at the flight plan on our primary flight display, I mean on our multi, the MFD, the multi-display, and make sure everything looks okay. A lot of waypoints on this thing. Yeah, see there's a vector. And NATOS. Okay, so we have NATOS as part of our approach, and we have DL530. Okay, so if you're looking at an approach, right, the way this approach works is kind of like we're going to go up, we're going to go around a little bit, run parallel to the airport and the runway, and then make a big U-turn. Well, that big U-turn is happening between this waypoint DL530 and this waypoint here. And our system does not know how to connect it. So we're going to connect it. So we first need to get rid of the vector first. So let's click clear. Let's get rid of the vector. And let's click clear again. And now let's get rid of the discontinuity. Now our flight is completely connected. So now we can go up to here, and let's put this on map. I'm sorry, on plan. And let's put this on 30. Let's get rid of this thing here. Now, and in order to cycle through this, in Boeing's you have a step button, This one, we just click on the up arrow. So let's start clicking on the up arrow and let's look at our flight. Here's our approach. So this is our arrival here. Then we go up to Bickmore, that's the beginning of our approach. And then we're gonna go up, make that one little turn around. And we're coming in. All right, our flight plan looks excellent. Now we need to go ahead and use our altitudes. Let's come down here, and then we'll finish setting up the weights. Then we'll get the APU on, and so it's a little bit to set up this flight tonight, but it is what it is, right? We got to set this information up. So let's do flight level 380. Then click the line next to it. Now let's go to flight plan, and I'm looking at now the OFP from SimBrief. So we do have 30,000. At FEVIC, we have 30,000. So let's go. Okay, so FEVIC is 27. Okay. Flight level 30 for 703. Okay, let's change a couple of things here. Oops. Sorry, I thought I saw the same waypoint twice. Okay, at 700 we should be at 13. 702 we should be at 23.2, and at 701 we should be at 20,200. Okay, 701 we should be at 20,200. So let's fix that. 20,200. We're going to do at or above. Let's return. And for 702, it's 23.2. On this, let's do 23.2. At or above. Okay, for 703, we should be at 25.5. At or above. And for 704, we should be at 27.6. Our speed should be 0.75, which I'm not really sure what that equates to, but I'll leave it where it is there. Yep. And then at FEVIC, we need to be at 30,000 feet. And true airspeed, ground speed. I wish it didn't have a Mach number, but that's all right. 0.8. All right, so at FEVIC, we need to be at 30,000 feet. At 30,000, so it's at that, right? 30,000 feet. Dahlen, it's also 30,000 feet. wonder what that Mach number. Let me open up my. I have a calculator for this kind of thing. Give me a second. So I wonder what that is in knots. Well, you know what? That'll be fine. Actually, 250. Because when we're cruising, we're about 250 anyways. So, all right. After Dahlen, we have Pivot. That one, we're also at 30,000. It's 30,000. Okay. And then the last one at 30,000 feet is Diver. Let's click on the button next to Diver. And let's plug in 30,000 as well there. And after that, we are okay. This Diver. Okay, very good. Now we don't have to worry about another altitude switch until we get to Sorrel. Sorrel is actually 32,000 feet. Actually, you know what? They have 30,000 in there. That'll be okay. Up at his head. You know what? I'm not fucking with all this. Jesus Christ. Let's just go back and plug in flight level 38,000. Man, fuck this. Trying to stick with what's on the flight plan, but man, it's a pain in the ass. Changing all this stuff. Diver. Let's clear that altitude out. Okay, there we go. I just want to fly, man. I'm tired of this bullshit. You got 38,000 feet, 38,000, 38, 38. And we have top of the set. All right, man, fuck that. Jesus Christ. I don't know why I'm so worried about it anyway. Sometimes I get like so caught up in trying to make it like as close to real life as I can that I get caught up in like the minutia of like everything. But man, Jesus Christ. All right, let's go ahead and 1 second. No, I forgot the follow-up period. I'll follow up on Monday. No sense of lying. All right, let's turn on flight recorder. Come down here and turn off the galley and shed light. Well, actually, turn it on. It was off. And let's activate the cabin crew air pressure. Go ahead and close up the jetway and remove the chocks. Make sure our parking brake is on. It is. The reason I wanted to close the doors is because when I turn the APU on, I like the APU info to show here, and it will not show up here if the doors are open. It will stay on this screen. All right, let's get clearance from the ATC. We're getting ready to plug in and get our V speeds and all that. You know, I have it turned on where it's supposed to force us to use the correct runway. But it doesn't seem to work most of the time. All right, let me see if I can use runway 2. It's Dolly 3S. The reason I wanted to get the clearance first, I'll show you here. So let's go back to, let's click on LEVL. Let's go to that SID again. Let's click on the top left, the top right button for runways. Let's go to runway 2. And we're gonna now do Dolly 3S. Insert that now. And now we should be good. Let's just make sure we don't have any discontinuities or it looks okay. Let's double check on our map up here. Let's click on flight plan again. And let's cycle through everything just to make sure. Yeah, we look okay. I just want to make sure that the beginning part was okay. The reason I wanted to do that first, because this next part that we're getting ready to do, I want to make sure that we have the correct runway information. So let's click on this airplane. Let's click on the 3 dots for runway length, and then go down to the bottom left and click on this number here. That's the runway length. It's dry. Click on runway heading, those 3 dots, and click on that same little box. That puts in the runway heading. And now click on the scales again. Our weight is 109, say 0.3. So let's click on weight and do 109.3. Flaps and slats are 15. Anti-ice off and air conditioning on. That's good. We can now click calculate. Oh, it's 19. What did I say? 190? What did I say it was? 109. Oops. All right, my bad. 109.3. There we go. All right, let's turn the APU on so we can get ready to roll. Go ahead and click on this inner tank pump number 2. And down here, APU master switch on. Wait a few seconds. Click the start button. And now let's turn on the APU bleed and arm the exterior lights. Put on our seatbelt signs. Smoking. Come here. Turn this knob. That brightens the glare shield display. Let's turn on GigaChad's instrument lights. Come back here and let's do the overhead and above our head pedestal lights. And let's come here and let's do captain and center instrument lights. And I like 1 click for the floodlights. APU should be doing its thing here momentarily. There we go. Now it's starting to kick on. All right, let's program, now that that's kicking on. All right, So once the IRS is aligned, we can now turn on these switches. So the ATS buttons, the pitch buttons, the yaw dampener, do not turn these on until the IRS is all aligned. Otherwise, I don't believe they'll work. I just know that you're not supposed to turn them on until the IRS is aligned. I don't know the exact reason why. It's probably because they won't work properly. But we can turn them on now. And let's plug in our flex is 59. So let's plug that in. And our V2 speed is 150, so let's plug in 15 higher than that, so let's do 165. We're almost ready to push back. Decision height, I usually do -5. I saw a pilot in real life do this, so that's why I do it. I don't know if you need to do it, but I saw him do it, and I was like, okay, I can do that. All right, so we got all this. Let's go finish our setup in here. We need to go back to the initialization page. Let's go to the next page. All right, our fuel block is 12.8. Let's put that in. 12.8. Click on the top right button. And let's go ahead and get our zero fuel weight and our center of gravity. So we have 96.5, 26.4. 96.5. Plug that in on the second line for zero fuel weight. And our zero fuel weight center of gravity was 26.4. Okay, that's all done. Now let's go to takeoff approach. And let's plug in our V1 and VR. So 134, 136. 36. All right, we have one last thing to do in here. Let's go to mode and let's go to descent forecast, and let me get the forecast from SimBrief. So let's do 31,000 feet, 310. That's 244.39. 244 degrees at 39 knots. All right, 20,000 feet is 225.32. And 10,000 feet is 221.29. The last one for Dusseldorf will plug in before we descend. If you try to access this screen while you're descending, you're not going to be able to get to the screen. So it's good to do it before you descend. We could plug it in now, but more than likely it's going to change between now and when we begin our descent. So, all right, that's all good. We're going progress here. All right, let's get back up. Let's get back up. Back 'em ups. Let's go to the plug. Let's get rid of the GPU unit. And let's click the back button here. And let's release the park and brake. Now, let's go ahead. Anything that has white lettering on it, we need to turn that off. We need to turn the white lettering off. So let's get rid of anything that has white lettering. very good. All right, we need to go with our nose left. So let's push this button here. Wrong way. Yep, that's correct. All right, let's start our engines. Let's go down here, and just needs to be on start A or B. It doesn't really matter which one. With the arm button. And N2 gets close to 15. That's usually when I put the fuel on. Let's put the fuel on here. While we're back here, let's turn on our weather system. Just move that over to 1. Turn up the gain a little bit, and doesn't really matter where our tilt is. Let's turn on our transponder. Put this on TARA, and this little toggle switch, put that on above. That way it'll pick up traffic above us while we're climbing. Oh shit. Jesus Christ, we were getting ready to crash. That was close. Oh. Anyways, let's turn on the second engine. Our brake pressure is right here. This shows that the brakes are on. Pressure is good, and this needles are above 0, so that means that it's on. Let's go ahead and add some fuel. Yeah, when we take off the parking brake, these needles will drop right down. All right, let me see what our landing altitude is tonight, what the altitude of the airport is. So it's 147. So let's come up here. Now this button moves in 50-foot increments, so that's 50, 100 feet, 150 feet. So that's what we'll do there. Turn on our brake fans. And let's put the auto brake on max. You need to update the METAR so we can program in the correct info. So we have 1010 as our METAR right now, so let's do that. Transition level from Barcelona on this chart here is 6,000 feet. So at 6,000 feet, we need to switch to standard pressure. All right, engines are running. Let's go ahead and lower our flaps and our slats to 15. And let's see what our takeoff trim is. 0.8 up. So let's this on 0.8 up. Right, that's pretty good. And let's test our takeoff configuration. So it might say we're okay. It might say we're not. If it says we're not, it's probably because the APU is on. I don't think that'll matter, but let's, this screen up here, let me get back a little bit. When we test it, this screen will say, like test OK normal or something like that. The button for it is down here on the bottom right, behind the flaps lever. There's a T.O.config test button. That's for takeoff config. So let's push this. TO test normal. All right, very good. Some planes you have to release the parking brake. This plane you don't. So we are ready to taxi. Let's go ahead and put on the rest of our lights. We forgot to put our beacon light on. Fuck, we should probably start over again, right? All right, Put that on taxi, and we can put this on continuous relight. I usually leave this on continuous relight until we get to our cruising altitude. Turn off the bleed, and we can now turn off the APU. And let's go ahead. Let's mosey on out to the runway. Parking brakes released. You can see this. These needles are now down to 0. A little bit of juice. Ooh, baby, go. Yeah, when Chooser, the subscribe, my, I guess he's a friend, sort of, but when he asked me to do this flight, I never heard of this flight before, so I looked it up. I said, okay, I can crash an airplane, that's no problem. He's like, no, do the whole flight, but don't crash it. I'm like, okay. Yeah, I had no idea that this flight existed, and then I looked it up, and I mean that's fucking tragic, bro. Seemingly that the co-pilot, did it on purpose to commit suicide. Locking the captain out of the cockpit. When the captain left the cockpit for a few minutes, he locked the door behind the captain, and then proceeded to, pretty much dive straight into the Alps. I don't know if it was in France, Italy, Austria. I don't know what part of the Alps. I guess if he's coming up, I guess it might have been close to France or Italy, I would think, maybe, but whatever. Either way, I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure everybody would have died on that flight. When you're... Oh yeah, we don't want to do a Japan Airlines. Let's hold short. We don't want to do what happened the other night at where's the airplane at? I guess we're okay. Let's see what the ATC says. I don't see an airplane anywhere. Oh, there it is. There's that little plane. Very cool. All right, can we proceed? I'm just going to go. Worst thing they can do is yell at us. Best thing I can do is just turn them off. Okay, let's hold short up here, and we got to do a couple of things for takeoff. Circuit brake on. Let's turn on our strobe light. No, I didn't. Are we good now? Alright, well, I'm just going to start going because they didn't respond to us, so fuck them. Alright, we do need to do two other things here. Two other things. Click on nav, click on profile, and turn the brake fans off. And what is our heading? Is 19. So let's plug that in. Do we have any constraints with over 4,000, over 10,000? No, we're good. All right, we'll adjust the altitude as we're climbing. All right, let's get on out here. Let's release the parking brake. You know, and if the ATC doesn't want to talk to us, we don't need to talk to them. That's okay. Just wait here for a second and see if the ATC does say anything. No option. So all right, so we're going to give it some juice, and then we're going to push this button over here on the left. That's toga, the toga button. So let's go ahead and release the parking brake. Give ourselves a little bit of juice. Let's click toga. .134 is our V1 speed. This plane is really trying to go to the right. Jesus Christ. What is up with that? That's crazy. All right, let's take off. Oh, I'm so sorry. All right, gear up. Every once in a while with this simulator, my controller puts these planes, like when I'm going to take off and I'm rolling down the runway, like sometimes I have to hold the thumbstick all the way over to one side just to keep it from, just to keep it in the middle of the runway. That's what kind of just happened just now. Like I was holding the rudder in a little bit on the right trigger, and if I let go of the thumbstick, it almost ran off the runway. All right, let's go ahead and click autopilot. Let's go ahead and put our gear in a lock position. And we can move our altitude up. I guess we can just put it at 30,000 feet. We do need to put standard pressure in here pretty soon. 6,000 feet. Let's put our flaps up. And we are going. let's put in standard pressure. Let's click this. Icing range, so let's turn on the icing equipment. And let's click this constraint button here. Turn off decision height. Do constraint there and decision height there. The constraint button puts the magenta info on our display here. And let's move this out to 30. And I guess we can turn off our lights up here. And turn off the logo light. Now we just let the plane do its thing for a little bit. Just sit back and monitor, and that's really about it. Yeah, every once in a while when I'm taking off, it's almost like the thumbstick gets stuck. You know? So the triggers, you know, I use those for the rudder input, you know, right, left. So typically when I'm taking off, I'll usually hold one of the buttons in just a little bit, just to help keep straight. Every once in a while, on top of the rudder input, I need to hold the joystick to one side or the other, because the plane is trying to go in a very violently, in a certain direction. That's what happened on tonight's takeoff. You know, I let go of the thumbstick a little bit, and even though I was holding the rudder, the plane was trying to go diagonal straight off the runway. So I didn't really catch on to it until we were at 110 knots. I was like, oh shit. You know, we're either going to crash, run off the runway, or maybe we'll be okay. But every once in a while that happens. I don't know what. Sometimes if I push the joystick really hard to the other side, sometimes that fixes the problem. It didn't fix it tonight. But every once in a while when I run into it, if I push that joystick over to the other side, sometimes that fixes it. Before, when I was plugging in all the different altitudes and everything, I think it has to do with the airways that we're on, because a lot of times every airway around the world has a minimum altitude and a maximum altitude, and I think that's what was happening with SimBrief. I think they were plugging in those values. We were doing okay. We were going down the line, plugging them in, but it's too much work for what it's worth. It's just a simulator. It's not real life. So it's a little too much work. We got B704. Let me pull up the flight plans. I may just change some of these values as we're rolling along. Yeah, Pivot, we're at 30,000 feet. Allen, we're at 30,000 feet. not at 30,000 feet is this one here. I can't see if this is 38 or 30,000. That is 30,000 there. Let's plug in. Plug in 38,000 here. Now we're good for a while. So with Boeing aircrafts, like the Boeing, or really almost any Boeing, you can just type in what you want to put over here on the right. So like if you wanted, like 0.8 knots, at 35,000 feet, you could just do something like this and then click the button next to it. It doesn't work like this. This airplane doesn't do that. This airplane, you need to click on the button first, and then you can program in speed you want, at or above, at an altitude, or at or below a certain altitude. I kind of like this a bit better than the Boeing version. The Boeing version is simpler. You just need to type it in and click the button. But we're still in anti-ice range. We're still climbing. Since we're going to be at the top of the climb, I don't see that. That's going to have to. This thing's going to keep on moving, I'm sure. So this is our top of climb, but there's no way we're going to be 38,000 feet in 18 miles. That's crazy. Yeah, I think it's moving back. It just keeps on moving. That's fine. That's a pretty quiet cabin, that's for sure. Yeah, I was gonna do the A320, but because that's the actual plane that was flown on this flight years back in 2015. But I have a hard time using that airplane in this simulator. I just can't believe that they made that airplane so. Like, to me, it's very unengaging. Like, it's just for me, it's a very boring plane. Like, you can't operate a lot of the switches, a lot of things you can't, manipulate in the cockpit. I mean, there's a lot of buttons even for like the different displays that you can't operate. So I just, I know this is not the airplane that was flown, but if it's this long of a flight on a Saturday night, I'm sorry, my man. I ain't doing it. I'm gonna go with same livery, just a little bit of a different body. I don't know why this says City of Athens on the side of it. Like if we zoom in, I noticed it when I was looking at the trucks that we called, the baggage truck and all that. Look at this thing. It's City of Athens. It's a Germanwings plane. German. Maybe there's an Athens, Germany. I'm not familiar with, That could always be. Maybe there's a city of Athens in Germany. I'm interested to see what's going to happen at 30,000 feet. Because I wonder if it's going to try to level off or if it's going to follow the flight plan that we have in there. If anything goes wrong, we can... Oh, it's not Chad, it's a Karen. Motherfucker. Where'd the Giga Chad go? Oh, I'm the Giga Chad. Fuck. guy in the pilot seat, he's usually the one that's in the co-pilot chair. We got Giga Karen sitting next to us today. Avatar Karen got some big old nitties. Good lord. Probably, definitely, I would think that was a guy that programmed that. Some big old nitties. All right, let's see what we're doing. Let's go back inside the cockpit. You know what? Look how this plane is wiggling already. I don't know if we're going to be able to go into the speed increase for the sim. If it's already wiggling like this, and we're at regular speed, like the flight I did this morning, where it was like, it reminded me of like a 64 Impala from like a Snoop Dogg video or a Dr. Dre video, where you got the 64 Impala just bouncing on the wheels. That's kind of what that plane was like today. It was like, if it's already wiggling and if it's already dancing this hard, if I put it in 2x speed, it might just dance itself out of autopilot, to be honest. I've had that happen a couple of times to me. I've had it happen a couple of times in regular time, not even speed increase, just regular time like this. I've had it a couple of times in Australia where I was flying and the wind was so strong and the turbulence was so strong that it actually knocked us out of autopilot. All right, let's go back inside the cabin and see what it's doing. All right, so we are at 30,000 feet right now. And we do need to get up to 38,000. So let's program in 38,000. And I'm going to do this here. I'm going to click on level. Then I'm going to click on profile. We could easily do level climb, and it would try to keep us at that 300 mark. But, you know, we're 0.8 knots like it is right now. But I'd rather click on profile. I'd rather have it follow the FMS. Boy, hopefully it'll smooth out a little bit as we get up in the altitude, man. This thing is really wiggling and shaking. Right, let me turn off the anti-ice. I'll tell you what, if I was a passenger on this plane right now, I'd be white-knuckled on the fucking armrest, man. If the plane was shaking this much at this altitude, man, I'd be fucking... I don't know if you'd be able to see it on me. Like, I can usually hide nervousness and stuff like that. I can usually hide that stuff pretty well. But man, if you looked at my hands, like, you would see like the white on my knuckles. I'd be gripping the hell out of those armrests right now. Or very like into a movie or into a song and just trying to focus on every single word, phrase, every little thing about that to try to get my mind off of the roller coaster at 30-some thousand feet in the air. Have some strong winds. For sure. I mean, we are over open water. And if I turned off live time right now and I put on clear skies, I bet you that shaking would stop. But we'll leave on live. I mean, not live time, live weather. But I'll leave it on live weather. See, if I left it on flight level change, I don't know if it would stick to the Mach number or if it would stick to that 300 number. Right now we're trying to stay at Mach 0.8. So I guess it would stay at the Mach number. I've never really tried flight level change over 30,000 feet before. I've used it going down, like descending, but I've never used it climbing. I usually use the VS button, or I'll use like a profile mode or a VNAV mode. I really don't use flight level change that often. Really, the only time I use flight level change, is when we're coming in for an approach, and let's say we have to go from 12,000 feet to 8,000 feet, then I'll usually use flight level change. That way we can stay at the same speed, the whole way down without having to manipulate the throttles ourselves. The airplane will take care of the throttle input. We are wiggling and a rolling today. Good Lord. Wiggle, 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 a wiggle, wiggle. All right, we can turn off continuous. Turn off continuous relight. And I am going to leave the seatbelt signs on. I don't think it's very safe for our passengers to be moseying around the cabin right now. I don't even want our flight attendants moving around right now, but I don't think it'll give us the METAR information in the air. Yeah, it's just arrival, but I can get it. Oh, you know where I can get it, though? I can get it right on Navigraph. I wonder if it'll tell me the wind speeds. Oh yeah, here we go. Here's the wind speeds. Oh my God. No wonder we're shaking and rolling. Look at this. I wonder if that's an error on the simulator's part. Let's turn off live weather real quick. All right, let's leave live weather off for a few minutes. And let me look at the METAR information. According to Navigraph, where are we at? We're going to Diber. What do I want to look at? Wind speeds. Turbulence. Oh, there's a fair amount of turbulence over this area right now. Oh, wow. Yeah, there is actually like a hazard. Oh, that's only until surface to 4,000 feet, though. Streams, wind barbs. And it doesn't, yeah, it might be, I think it's an issue with the simulator. Because the wind over where we're at right now, the wind is nowhere close to what it was just showing. And the only warning that they have right now is for turbulence up to 4,000 feet. There's no, and all the wind speeds right now are about 20. Yeah, that was very strange. Let me put on live weather again and see what happens. If you're just now joining us, I turned off live weather for a minute because we were bouncing around like I keep on using the same analogy, but it's like if you remember like Snoop Dogg videos or Dr. Dre videos, how they had like the 64 Impalas that were kind of like bouncing on the tires. That's what our plane was doing. And the wind was going, this was going between 20 and like 45. And it was like flipping like a light switch. So let me turn on live weather and see if it does that again. Yep, there we go again. Look at that, see? We're going to turn off live weather for a while. We'll turn it back on a little bit later in the flight. I want to get a little closer to our destination. I want to be able to speed up the simulator. So let's just leave it on clear skies for now. Yeah, because I mean I'm looking at all this different information right now, and yeah, there's nothing. Let me look at let's look at radar Omega as well while we're in sped up mode. Let's go 2 times speed. Wow, that dropped us that much in altitude. That was crazy. That little bit of time with live weather on dropped us like 1,500 feet. Good Lord. Okay, let's go. Oh, you know what? It only does. Yeah, fuck it. You know what? I don't care. I'm not looking it up. Who gives a fuck? It's me again. Like sometimes I get sidetracked, and then I get very focused on whatever I get sidetracked by. We got 6:14 to the destination. We will plug in our descent forecast when we get a little closer to descending. We'll slow down as well when we get close to Maxer. We'll go ahead and slow down. I am not a fan of this plane. Well, any plane in this simulator, unless it's the 737. I'm not comfortable with any plane sped up like this, making turns. The 737 I'm okay with because it slows down before the turn. This plane won't do that. This plane will try to make that turn at the sped up increase, and usually it knocks you out of the autopilot at that point. So we are over, I believe, the south of France right now. Castellet, France. And we're getting ready to head straight north, deeper into France. So yeah, that looks like it was well, you know, we have a lot of the Alps that we're going to be going through, but it looks like it was the French Alps that it crashed into, because it looks like we're in France almost the whole time, actually. Yeah, that's France. It looks like it might have been the French Alps that this plane crashed into. I'm looking at all the Alps right now that we're flying through, and it looks like it's all France, so I guess it was the French Alps that it crashed into. I'll give live weather another try a little bit later in the flight. yeah, I don't know if there's a glitch. I don't know if there's a glitch in the matrix or what it is, but I didn't have an issue with the live weather until we got up to like 30,000 feet, and then it was just, well, you saw it. It was just bouncing around, going up and down like 1,000 feet in altitude. Like, it was crazy. I'm gonna go 2 times speed here momentarily. Whoa! What the hell? All I did was hit the thumbstick. Wow, I didn't know it does that. Oh, it keeps me still. Okay. I didn't know it does that. That's pretty cool. Help me, get me closer. That was pretty cool. I didn't know hitting the right thumbstick does that. Let's go back in the cockpit. We can speed up our simulator a little bit. Oh, never mind, we're getting ready to make another turn. After this turn, we can speed up for a little bit until we get to, it's like another airway in the sky. We make this turn, we'll go ahead and speed up again. I'm wondering if the thing with the live weather, I wonder if that has anything to do with me downloading some of the bush trips again. I downloaded like 2 or 3 bush trips, but I didn't download the whole scenery package. That's been the issue. But there are a couple of bush trips. One that I'm going to do tomorrow live. It's one through Hawaii, and that one there's no autopilot, no navigation. We have to follow the ground. The whole trip is a lot of these bush trips you're supposed to follow what you see on the ground and follow the instructions. The one we're going to do tomorrow in Hawaii is like that. But I did like 80% of that trip. I'm going to restart tomorrow. I have that one, and there's one that does a tour of Alaska, which is amazing. The scenery and the airports. And then I also have one from in Canada that goes through like Vancouver and British Columbia. It goes around all the different bodies of water up there and mountains. And again, that plane has no autopilot as well. There are planes in the bush trips that have autopilot. And, you know, it's good to have autopilot too, so you can go outside like we're doing now and just look at stuff. But sometimes I like the challenge of trying to figure out where on the ground we need to turn, or looking for certain bodies of water, or looking for certain mountains. They give you a nav log that shows the distance and the direction and a description of what you're going to be doing for each little waypoint. And then they have a VFR map, which is like this map here. You know, and then it'll have a line like for your route, and you have to follow that line as best you can, but you really don't know, like, it doesn't show the plane, so you have no idea where you are on the map. Here we have our plane, but in there it doesn't have that. Only option it has is this option here where it outlines the mountains. Other than that, you have no idea like what's going on. All right, let's speed up a little bit. Right now we're in 2x speed. And here's our next turn right here. Irma. We're going to be heading on a course of 354. We're at 24 right now, so. Yeah, we're going to descend soon to 30,000 feet, and then we'll stay there for the remainder of our flight. We've got quite a bit of ways to go. It's a pretty good flight for Saturday night. We got about 5:22 to our destination. Still need to plug in our forecast for Dusseldorf. We'll plug that in when we get a little closer. We still need to do the landing page here. I'm waiting to see what the wind speeds are going to be before I interact with the wind correction. You can really go +10 if you need to, but most of the time, I believe pilots do, they take whatever the wind gust is, divide it in half, and usually whatever that number is, I believe they add to the approach speed. But a lot of planes have a maximum value, like +10 or +7. So usually +10 is pretty safe on these kind of planes. Oh no! Wow, we made it there that quick? Shit. I didn't think we were going to make it to that waypoint that quickly. Jesus. That was scary. You know, we're teetering right on the icing range. I might as well just leave our icing equipment on. Courchevel. The Port du Palais Airport. We're going to be turning here pretty soon. I'm going to deactivate the sped up part. Let's deactivate that because we're going to be turning at the next waypoint. Oh, I kept the last cabin position. That's interesting. We should be crossing over into Germany pretty soon. That's still France. So let's see when we cross into Germany. Oh, that's still France. It might be Iberia. That might be where we switch over. That's Luxembourg. Oh yeah, the Dick. That is Luxembourg. The DIKVOR. Deek. Oh, that's still Luxembourg. That's Belgium. All right, so we go from France to Luxembourg to Belgium, and then when we get to NVO, that's pretty much where we get into Germany, right before that. Okay. That works for me. I guess it was these mountains in here that it crashed into. This plane. That's gotta be a hell of a way to go. I mean, like, when I die, I would like for it to be quick. Quicker the better. Like, I don't want any suffering. You know, but man, like, these people had to have known the last couple of seconds, last 10, 15 seconds that they were, you know, getting ready to crash into the mountains. I mean, they had to see, like, what they were, like, flying next to. I mean, I bet you none of them probably felt anything. At least I hope. I hope they all went quick. You know, when a plane goes that fast and smashes into an immovable object, especially on a mountain, I mean, this thing has to, like, you know, I'm going to do some research later. I'm kind of curious, like, you know, I'm sure they found some parts of the wings and maybe some parts of the back of the plane, you know, but I would think, like, the whole fuselage, like, that would, I mean, it's got to be gone. Like, I don't know. I don't want to dwell on it because it's not a nice subject to talk about, but it's a curious subject, though. At least I'm curious. All right, we'll put this on flight mode. And let's see, what body of water could this be that we're flying over? I think that's Lake Geneva, actually. Yep, I bet you that's Lake Geneva. Let's go back inside and look at the waypoint. I bet you the next waypoint is GILIR. Let's see. GILIR, that is Geneva. I didn't realize we were flying over Switzerland. That's pretty cool. There's another bush trip that is in pretty much Austria and Switzerland, and you fly like all around Lake Geneva. It's a really cool trip. I think you're in a little Cessna, like 172 or something like that, or a Beechcraft. B-36, and you're flying like 500, maybe 1,000 feet over the water, and just, you know, you go from spot to spot. It's really a fun little trip. All right, let's go speed up things a little bit. I'm going to get back to Subnautica at some point tonight. Let's turn off our anti-ice equipment. And I guess we can turn off the seatbelts now. Now that we're not bouncing around like a ping pong ball. There we go, 2x speed. Making some headway. We were originally close to 700 miles to the destination when we got to our cruising altitude, and now we're down to 383. So I would imagine we're going to start descending here pretty soon, since we're going to 30,000 feet for a while. And, think by the time we get to Sorrel, we need to be at 30,000 feet. It should be coming up here pretty soon. Yeah, that's 38,000 feet too, Sorrel. Works for me. Ready to take us out of sped up mode. Let's go back to regular speed. We're going to be making some turns. And are we descending? Oh, we're not doing the 30,000 thing. Okay. Okay, that's fine. These two waypoints here, that's where we cross into Germany. This is in Belgium. Ibessa, Arky. Luxembourg right here. All right, let's go back outside then, since we got a little bit of time. I don't like speeding up the simulator when we have turns, not unless we're in the 737. Then it's okay. So 737 slows down before its turns. Shit. Sorry about that. Wrong button. And that was pretty cool flying over Lake Geneva. It's a big ass lake. Jesus. I've been watching quite a bit of the almighty Tevin lately on YouTube. He's a DSP detractor that makes great videos. Almighty Tevin and Snort Hogan. I'm sorry, Snort Burrell. I like his videos. But yeah, the Almighty Tevin, I mean, all his streams, like his streams are like 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours. So I watch a lot of him. He's a big DSP detractor. Plus he does a good amount of videos on that Amber Lynn girl. Amber Lynn, she's I don't know, she's super obese and makes a lot of TikTok videos, but he does quite a amount of videos on her. I like EFAP, Mueller. Yeah. Good shit right there. I like EFAP episodes. Every frame a pause. They do a good job at breaking down movies, TV shows. I like watching cops. I like a lot of the interrogation videos too, of bad guys getting interrogated. Always thinking they can outsmart the police, and like sometimes they get very close, and then they say one thing, and that usually seals their fate. Kind of tempted to put on live weather again here pretty soon and see what happens. Just now joining us, I turned live weather off, I guess about 200 miles ago. Our plane was like almost like it was waving a hand. I use the analogy of like one of those 64 Impalas from like a Snoop Dogg or a Dr. Dre video where it's bouncing on the hydraulics. Our plane was going up and down like 1,000 feet at a time. Like, it was crazy. And I looked at a few different reports online where it shows the wind speeds and turbulence and different information like that, and there was nothing that showed anything that should be causing our plane to do that. However, I did notice that when we were doing that, though, we have the wind speed direction right here, 270, 269. This is the speed, like 1 knot, 2 knot. Well, this was going from like 25 to 40 something, but it was like flicking, like a light switch. It was just, and that's when our plane was like doing this bouncing and wobbling. So I don't know if it has anything to do with some of the stuff I downloaded. I downloaded a few bush trips, but I didn't download anything else. I did have to download one scenery pack, but hopefully that's not interfering with this, because before all the scenery updates were affecting the planes negatively. So hopefully it's not one of the 3 bush trips that I downloaded or the couple of scenery packs that I did. Like, I didn't download the whole package. So like for the Hawaii bush trip, it's part of the Oceania Antarctica package. Well, all I did was download the Hawaii bush trip and the Oceania points of interest, because you need the points of interest for the bush trip. So hopefully that is not what's causing the weather to kind of go crazy. Maybe that had something to do with the takeoff too tonight. The takeoff, if you missed it, I let go of the thumbstick, because usually I just use the rudder, the bumpers. I'm sorry, the triggers to control the plane on the runway. Right rudder, left rudder, things like that. Sometimes, though, I need to use the left joystick to help keep it centered. Well, tonight I was holding it all the way over to the right, and the plane was still shooting off to the side. So we made it up in the air, obviously. But, I don't usually have that issue with takeoffs. Usually, if I start veering off to one side like that, if it's the thumbstick that's the problem, usually if I just move it all the way over to the opposite side, usually that fixes it. Not the case tonight. Tonight, didn't work out that way. Thankfully, we got in the air with no problem, because I would have been really upset, spending all that time setting up the airplane and getting to within a few knots of being able to get off the ground and then crashing. That wouldn't have, I would have been a little upset. Like the first time I flew the Antonov in the simulator here, like the first time I flew it, I was at BWI Airport. That's the local airport for where I live. And it took me a while to get this plane set. It was the first time going through everything. Everything was in Russian. And I was enjoying myself, too. It was pretty interesting setting that airplane up. That was also before I found out about 2 kind of life hacks with that airplane that make things a lot easier and a lot faster. But anyways, I turned onto the runway, do the runway, toga. We're rolling. Push down gently on the thumbstick just to help keep the nose down a little bit. And next thing I know, our nose is in the ground. We hit some sort of imaginary pothole, and it put our nose straight in the ground. I just spent 45 minutes setting up this airplane, man. I was so upset. I was like, fuck, man, all I wanted to do was just give this plane a little test drive. I didn't even care about landing or getting the cruising altitude. I just wanted to take off and go through the procedure of locking the gear in place. Because that plane, when the gear the lever's all the way down, when you take off and you want to put it up, you have to unlatch. There's 2 latches. You have to move the latches. You got to move the gear shift lever all the way up. Then you got to put the 1 latch down at the very bottom. And then once the gears are up and the lights are off, then you got to move the gear lever back down again to the middle, and then you have to close the other latch. You know, it's like, you know, I wanted to practice all that because there's no quick way of doing that. Yep, we wound up. I've had that happen a couple of times with these airplanes where there's an imaginary pothole that you wind up nose diving into. Doesn't happen often. But yeah, every once in a while, you get one of the imaginary potholes. That's crazy. All right, so we got GIVOR. We're making pretty good headway. Still in France, I believe. Nancy, France. All right, I'm going to plug in our descent forecast now. Let's update this. We have 10 degrees and 7 knots. Oh, you know what? Let me do live weather. Let me see what happens with that again real quick. I'd like to use live weather again if I can. I mean, if I can't use it, I can't use it, but that would be my first preference. The hell? We just went up to 39,500 feet. Yeah, you see, look, I gotta leave live weather off. Something's going on tonight. Look. Yep. I guess I could try leaving it on, seeing what happens. Let's do the METAR again. Now, if the METAR is the same, that's going to be really messed up. Look at it, it's still the same. There's no way it's the same. Let me look it up on Navigraph. There's no way. No, I'll be damned, it is. All right, 10. Yeah, I stand corrected. Not the first time I've been wrong. All right, so we got 10 and 7. Let's go to descent forecast. Let's plug in bearing of 10 and we'll plug in 7. All right, that's done now. And let's plug in EDDL here. Fix. Yeah, I don't know why this is doing that. I don't know if it's just... I don't know. It's weird. I don't know if it has anything to do with what I downloaded. Keep an eye on it and see what happens like with my next flight. I might just use a random plane later and just, you know, start off in the air and just put myself in altitude hold and like heading hold and just keep an eye and see what happens. And if it happens in another plane, then I probably do have to erase what I downloaded. Oh, no more looking at the ground. Damn. That's a lot of clouds. The clouds look dirty as shit, don't they? It's just all around the airplane. It's kind of like a force field around this airplane. But it makes all the clouds look like, you know, like after it snows and cars drive on it for a while and it gets like all the oil and dirt and shit all over the snow, and it's like... What if I need to turn on live time with it too? Maybe that's part of the issue. I doubt it, but let's see what happens. It's dark as hell, isn't it? Well, if all we're looking at is clouds anyways, I might as well leave it in the dark. Yeah, I think it looks pretty cool at nighttime. Turn that primary flight display down a little bit. Turn that down a little bit. That thing's bright as shit. That's a little better. Let's turn down Giga Karen. Because we got a big old bitty Karen sitting next to us when we look at it from outside the airplane. Over here, Karening it up tonight over here, trying to tell me the last 2 hours she wants to see my manager. Like, what are you doing? Turn the live weather off. Let me talk to your manager. Where's your manager? I want a refund. Bitch. Shut your mouth. Even when I asked you a question, don't answer me. Just shut up. Shut up, Karen. What, is it not cloudy anymore where we're at? What happened to all the clouds? There's no storms on the horizon. Oh, you know, we never switched over. I never put the TCAS system back in normal. So this toggle switch right here puts it in above for takeoff, normal for cruising, and below for descending, you know, for our traffic system. Yeah, weather's turned on. Let me tilt it up a little bit more and turn up the gain a little bit. And let's make the weather a little darker, a little brighter, I mean. You can kind of see it now that the screen changes a little bit when you turn the weather on. How do you do it? Let me see your manager. All right, we should be descending here pretty soon. Yeah. So after Ibessa, I believe, it's our top of descent. The wind is still going. Yeah, there's top of descent that just showed up. The wind is still going crazy. I just don't understand it. I've never seen it do this before. Not just this airplane, just any airplane in the simulator. I've never seen it do this. Like, our true airspeed is off. And I bet you if I take us out of this mode right now and just do clear skies, I bet you this altitude drops like almost 2,000 feet. I don't know why. Maybe it'll fix itself. It looks like it's slowing down a little bit. I just don't want us to be, you know, off on the altitude. I mean, if it's that far off, you know, when we come in for our landing, we might not, we may have to do a go around. Maybe it'll fix itself when we get to a lower altitude. You know, we start slowing down and get to a lower altitude, maybe then it'll start fixing itself. Well, I kind of like it at night, actually, to be honest. It's nice for a change. Maybe I'll leave it on real time for a while. Oh my God. Let me see your manager. How dare you? I would never. let's go ahead. Should I? Yeah, we still got a little bit of time before top of descent. 395 to the destination. Well, at least let's plug in. I guess we'll plug in our ILS information real quick. That only takes like 5 seconds in this airplane. So we have 110.15 and an approach course of 52. So our course is 50 deuce. And we have 110.15. We're all done. All done. Yes, sir. All right, we got Arky and then Ibessa. We're crossing the Germany between these two waypoints here, between Ibessa and NVO. That's where we're crossing the Germany. There's Luxembourg. No wonder I can't do real time. Shit. I gotta change that. I think that's why it was fucking up. We just can't have nice things, I guess. No, we can't have a date after December 27th in this airplane especially. Microsoft hasn't updated their system. I wonder if that was part of the issue. I'm still doing it. But Microsoft hasn't updated their AirX system, which is, I forget what AirX stands for, but it's like all the info that has all the waypoints, and landings, and takeoffs, airways, and things like that. But they haven't updated the new one that came out on December 28th. And usually having a date after December 28th really causes, especially this plane, to do a lot of the plane's not usable. Like if I was to restart this flight and have like today's date in, I wouldn't be able to interact with any button on this airplane at all. I could interact with it, but the button wouldn't do anything. It would click or it would turn, but nothing else would happen. Interacting with the tablet doesn't work, like nothing works. And that's because they haven't updated their system yet. So the navigation doesn't recognize the waypoints or the flight plan or anything. So this makes me very nervous that it's fluctuating like that. We'll see what happens. I may wind up going back to turning off live weather, but let's see what happens as we descend. All right, let's plug in 31,800 feet. Let's do altitude hold right now. Do Mach and let's go 31,800. And as we get close to the top of our descent, then we'll re-engage the profile mode. Bring up our arrival chart. They must be having some bad weather in Dusseldorf right now. It's only instrument flight rules right now. say. Thank you for checking out my stream tonight. I certainly appreciate it. Certainly appreciate anybody who takes just a few seconds to check out the video. I certainly appreciate it. I do want to grift just a little bit, though, but if you could, at some point between now and when you depart this airplane and check out another video, if you could ever be so kind and just click subscribe and click the thumbs up. You could have been done it already. You could do it with me. Click subscribe, click like. Now it's done. And it might not mean anything to you. Most of the time when I click on subscribe and I click on like, it doesn't mean anything to me. I just do it because I know it helps out the producer. And if I enjoy their content, I certainly don't mind doing it because I would like to see them continue to put up stuff that I like. So if you have enjoyed any parts of this video or you would like to help me continue this, please click on those two buttons, those two taps on your screen or on your TV, or on your tablet, iPad, whatever you got. Thank you. I guess my public grifting announcement is over. My PGA. So we're getting ready to start descending here. And we're going to be doing this crazy ass approach. Like a figure eight almost. Sort of. Yeah, we might be turning off the live weather. We'll see what happens. It's been doing this for a while now. And I know if I turn live weather off right now, we're going to drop about 2,000 feet in altitude. Happened earlier in the flight. Turned it off because we were bouncing so violently and the wind speed was going up like 20 knots in intervals. Instead of it going from like here, like 6 to 10, it was going from like 25 to 45. The plane was just bouncing like straight up and down. All right, I'm actually comfortable with starting our descent now, so let's click profile. Let's start our descent now. I'm over here. Oh, let me do one thing over here real quick. Click on live. We're at 103 right now. Over here, let's click on this. And I'm going to plug in. So do we have any wind gusts? Let's check out the METAR. No, I don't see any wind gusts there. Let me check the METAR Navigraph. Nope. If there were wind gusts, this right here, instead of it having like 10 degrees, 7 knots, KT, it would have the same info here, and then after KT, it would have like 10, and then a G after it. That would be like, 10, gust. So since there's no gust, let's just do +5 for the wind correction. Click on the plus sign, the number 5. Let's click on that. And so that means our V approach will be 136. And our decision height for tonight is a whopping 50 feet. Again, 50. Do not click final approach yet, because if you do that, it will put the plane in final approach mode. All right, 136. Let's plug in. Let's plug in 50. Our transition altitude is 5,000 feet. Good. Let's bring our map in a little bit. And let's bring our altitude down now to 25.8. And by elder, we need to be at 25.8, so it looks like we could be there. Doing pretty good. I don't see a reason to put any flaps into the equation. This is an issue, though. Oh, what the hell? Oh, okay. Yeah, it looks like we're going to be taking over manual control of some of this stuff here pretty soon. Take ourselves out of profile mode and plug in our own speed and our own descent angle and all that. That's very fast, I think. When you're 10 miles out of the airport, I think 220 is pretty fast. Let's go down to 15,000. A little bit high. All right, now we're back in line pretty much. Three is good. Bikmu. That's good. All right, let me take over manual control now. That's 220 knots. We need to slow down a bit more. Let's take the speed brakes off. Arm the auto brake. That back on. Get rid of this thing. We're getting ready to turn. Have our direction. EL15 on this map is 263, is it? Via Bico. Oh, here we go. Okay, yeah, 60 degrees. Okay. Well, the navigation's doing pretty good so far. I'm a little worried about the navigation, but so far doing okay. All right, let's drop our descent a little bit. Let's put this down to what is looks like 4,000 is the magic number. We're going to put you in ILS mode. And keep track of our ILS until we switch over ourselves. All right, let's put ourselves in icing on. Just activated slats 15. Try to keep our speed down a little bit. Almost right on line with where we need to be at altitude wise. Actually, even with all this, we're pretty close to where we need to be at. A little bit higher than where we should be, 600 feet higher, but we'll get that fixed here pretty soon. See, I'm still not really comfortable with what's going on, because this wind speed is not, the speed and the wind speed have not been correct for a long time. Like, this is just, I'm half tempted to go back to turning off live weather, but we'll leave it for now. Turn this off. This on below. And we need to be at 11.9 by, okay, Ronald, we need to be at 10.3. We're a little bit high, but we're doing okay. What I'm actually going to do is put ourselves in heading mode here. So what are we heading on right now? 230-ish. And then That'll give us a chance to not have to descend so quickly. Let's go heading mode. And let's ease up our descent a little bit here. Give a chance to slow down. Keeping an eye on the ILS over here. Yeah, that gives us a chance to get down to the altitude we need to be at and get down to a good speed. There's NATO's here. DL550. NATO's we need to be at 3,000 feet. If we're at, say, 4,000 by DL550, we can drop 1,000 feet by then. We'll probably have the glide scope captured by the time we get back here. But all right, what I'm going to do now, I'm actually going to switch to side 2. Let's go ahead and turn on the ILS. And let's do this side, and we'll do map on this side. All right, very good. Now a little more comfortable. We almost got to plug in our actual METAR here pretty soon. And it is still, yep, 1016 is correct. When we get to about 5,000 feet, I'm going to make our turn back to the airport. Slow down a little bit as well. Let's go ahead and drop this to, say, 1,000 feet. Let's plug in 3,000 here. I guess we can turn on our landing lights and all that too now. Turn on the logo lights. All right, once we get just a little bit lower in height, I'm going to make our turn back towards the airport. All right, well, the wind has now seemed to calm down now. Now I'm a lot more comfortable. The whole flight, this has been flickering like a light. When we were at cruising altitude, it was going from like 25 to 45, and our plane was like waving high. So I wound up turning off live weather for a little while we were at cruising altitude. All right, let's turn back towards a course of 52. Let's plug in 210. And let's now make a 45-degree turn. I'm sorry, a 90-degree turn. And actually, let's pull it off at 4,000 feet. And right now we just have the slats down. Once this magenta line starts coming in, then that's when we're going to make our turn. We need to do it like as soon as we see that line moving, we need to start moving with it. All right, let's go slats and flaps 15. Let's make our turn. Once we get that lined up, close to being lined up, we can then arm the localizer. We may need to go a little bit past 52 in order to capture, but we certainly will. Let's activate toga. Typically want to land with your toga active just in case. All right, and we are, there's no way we're 9 miles away. I don't believe that for a second. All right, let's click the nav button. See if this captures the localizer. Where the fuck is this thing going? Where's the plane going? It's supposed to capture the localizer. It's just making a circle. Let's see what it does. Where the fuck is this plane going? Oh, I see what it's doing. I see what it's doing. It's coming around. It's probably going to turn here and try to capture this. Maybe. This is Christ plane. Do it myself. What the hell, man? That's crazy. I'm in ILS mode. spots. Glide scope is now coming alive. Maybe if I click land, it'll actually capture the localizer this time. That was strange, man. It should have captured the localizer then. Localizer is captured. Glide scope is active. We can now arm autopilot 2. That'll give us a category 3 landing. We don't need to adjust the altitude anymore. We can leave that alone. The glide scope will take care of that. Now we just need to take care of speed and flaps. 15 miles out. Yeah, so I said I didn't believe that. That's got to be the VOR that that's capturing. We're 15 miles out from our landing. That was super strange, man. Going nav and it just starts making circles. Oh yeah, we got to plug in our METAR. What is that? 1016. 1016 and 30 even. All right, very good. That's good. All right, let's slow down a bit more. And we have here 35. Put this on auto again now that everything's under control. Glide scope is, look at this, man. Look how off the glide scope is. There's definitely something going on. Let's arm the speed brakes. Maybe we're okay now. Yeah, this live weather has me concerned. I'm wondering if it is because I downloaded a scenery pack. Well, not a pack, but part of the scenery. Very curious. I'm going to test that out later. Try another flight and see if the wind and speed fluctuate the same way. And if it is, it's probably something I only downloaded like 4 things, like 3 bush trips and points of interest for the Hawaii area, so I can do a certain bush flight. I don't think that should have any kind of bearing on this, though. I mean, if I downloaded the whole pack, maybe. But I wouldn't think the bush trips would have anything to do with it. Who knows? Just weird is all. Very strange. It's very strange that something that has nothing to do with this could affect this. That I find very strange. It says we're about 1,600 feet over, so that could be correct. I'm going to let this plane land itself. I want to see if everything is right on. Plus, I like looking at the stuff on the outside. That's part of the fun for me with this, is looking at everything on the outside. Since we have navigation, since we have autopilot 1 and 2 on, this plane should do a category 3 landing, which is where it flares and rolls out all on its own. We still have frame rate issues at airports. That's good. Stuttering with the airplane. That happens at like every major airport. Happens more. It's more pronounced in Europe here than it is in other parts of the world. But still, pretty much every major airport, there's issues when you're getting close to an airport with frame rate issues. Every plane too. It's not just this plane. Well, those ILS lights, I forget what they're called, but it still looks like 3 white and 1 red, which is pretty good. Let's see if we get down to 2 red and 2 white. Oh, 4 white.
400, 300.
That's 2 red, 2 white. Oh, that's interesting. I guess the different angle shows you. Okay, there we go. Oh, we're okay, it looks like.
100, 20. 10, 5.
The plane just wants to go to the right. To the left. That is crazy. All right, let's contact the ATC and get clearance. I can't do it while the plane is moving. It keeps on veering off to the side. Can't turn. Oh well, fuck it. We're done. I can't turn the plane. Don't know why. Anyways, I appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. I don't know what's going on. There's something weird with this plane because it keeps on veering off to the left. It won't turn just now to the right. which kind of confirms that it's only going to the left. And it's been doing that since takeoff. And I'd like to think that it has all to do with live weather and live time not live time, but live weather turned on. Or it could be from the couple of things I downloaded. So I guess I'll have to do a little experimentation to figure things out. But in the meantime, please subscribe. Please click the like button. It means a lot to me. And I will see you on the next episode of the Airplane Show. Yes, sir. So y'all have a good rest of the Saturday night, Sunday morning, whatever it is in your time zone. Enjoy it. Stay good, my friends. And